What's up, Wolfpack fans? We're here with your pack priorities heading into Saturday against Florida State. A lot of things to look at going into this game, but one of the things that's really going to test NC State's offense is the depth at wide receiver. Why is that?
Honestly, when you look at what Florida State tries to do against offenses, they've got a strong secondary with Derwin James at safety coming back from last year's injury, and then they've also got Tavares McFadden, who had a stellar year last year for them. So when you look at what they're trying to do as far as limiting wide receivers, NC State's really going to have to find that depth again that they've had in the past games. You know, we saw it against Marshall a little bit, we saw it against South Carolina a little bit, and a lot of players got snaps in this last game against Furman, but we've got to see what they've got as far as the depth is concerned, because guys like Kelvin Harmon and guys like Steph Lewis are going to be limited the entire game. Last year it was Naheem Hines that had a huge game when he was a wide receiver and slotted at that position majority of the time. So now that he's at running back, we'll see if he ends up becoming a big part of the game still. But when you see guys like C.J. Riley and Emeka Emezie, guys that have big size and speed, we could see them playing a big role in this game. We could also potentially, if he had a good week of practice, Jacoby Myers. He was a guy that did not play at all in the last game, but did play a big role in the first two games. So if he does end up making that return, he could be a big impact player. So X factors, you're looking at the depth at wide receiver. Those three guys, honestly, to me, stick out.
All right, and one of the biggest things that everyone's kind of been stressing is that obviously Florida State has a new face at quarterback. So our D-line going up against their very strong offensive line, what's going to happen there for our defense? What do we have to focus on with this new quarterback?
Honestly, I think what we were talking about before this is just limiting them one way or the other. Limit them to, make them one-dimensional either in the passing game or in the running game, whichever one you think is a weaker link for them. Honestly, it'll probably be a lot of testing out in the first quarter, which we can kind of expect because, as you mentioned, James Blackman being under center for the first time in his college career, he's a true freshman quarterback, a three-star quarterback out of Florida, out of Glade Central. So he's going to be tested early and often. Now, whether or not he can get over top of these DBs like South Carolina did and like Marshall did at the beginning of those games will remain to be seen. But if those guys are able to have success, Jonathan Alston and Nick McLeod at all, then I think we could see that defensive line being able to apply some pressure on the running game. And looking at the combined guys that they had last game, Jaquez Patrick and Cam Akers combined for 47 yards against Alabama. Of course, that's Alabama, so it's a little bit different. But if NC State wants to really be able to kind of make this game one-dimensional one way or the other, they're going to have to be able to force something on that defensive line, either stopping them in the running game or getting inside and really getting to James Blackman early and often.
Yep, and Florida State obviously had off because of the hurricane, so a lot of unknowns there in this situation going into Saturday, which some people are thinking could be a positive for NC State. So I guess we'll see what happens when they hit the road.